Hey everyone, so today I thought I would just talk a little bit about how it's really important to remember that when getting any pet or adding to your pets, that things can sometimes not go quite as smoothly as you would like, and it's really important to remember this. I mean, it's really easy or easier to have pets and to look after them when everything's going smoothly and everyone's healthy and everyone's well. But just lately I've had a few things happen sort of in sequence with the pets, which has made it quite difficult to fit it all in. It's been very expensive, and I think it's just really important to remember because these things do happen when you have pets. You know, they do get ill, or there is more things that they need done that take up extra time, and that's on top of then the other things that need to be done as well. It's not like you can say, oh, well, I'll stop doing my usual pet chores to make way for these new set of circumstances that have cropped up. So you really need to make sure, if things like this do happen, do I have the time to invest in this? If I do need to treat an animal with medication, or I do need to spend time giving them extra grooming attention or anything like that, I just thought it's really important to remember that and think about that before getting a pet. And often if you have multiple pets, for some weird, strange reason, it seems like often things will happen one after the other, which is what has happened to me lately. It's been a really busy time and a really, expensive time. So I just thought I'd go through what's happened to me lately and just share it with you, and as a little reminder that things do happen. So the first thing that happened was that Johnny got fleas again. I don't know if you remember that a little while ago. He had fleas. He's a house cat, so it was a bit odd that he got fleas to start with, but they can come in on clothing and things, as I discussed in my last video. And we treated him for that, and the treatment time has now expired, and again, he has gotten fleas again. So I had to make sure that I checked him over thoroughly, and then we had to treat him again. So we had to have the treatment again for him, and we had to take the time to treat him for that. And then I was also having to inspect all of the other animals to make sure that the fleas hadn't spread to them. Last time we were really lucky and they didn't spread, and this time as well it seems to be the same, which is really lucky because they're all around each other. But as I was inspecting all the other animals to make sure that they didn't have the fleas, I realised that underneath all of the hair on Maple and Splodge, they were getting a skin flare-up. They do have really sensitive skin, which is the poodle in them coming through, and they are prone to breakouts of a pimple-like rash on their skin, which we've taken them to the vet for multiple times, and we've worked out that it's often to do with food. They can build up an allergy to certain meats and proteins after a little while. So I realised they had a lot of scabs on their skin that needed to be gently groomed off them, so that was a lot of time grooming that. They had to be bathed particularly. We had to find a new food for them. And then on top of that, we had all of the guinea pigs and rabbits really desperate for a nail trim, which is important to keep up with so that they don't get other problems developing like sore hocks or bumblefoot from curled nails. So I had to make the time to trim all of the rabbits. We've got the 4 rabbits and the 2 guinea pig nails. These guys, these older pair here, Coco and Billy, were desperate for brushing. They all of a sudden decided to just molt half their fur. So they were just fur coming out everywhere, and I wanted to make sure I got onto that because if they ingested a lot of that fur, it could cause blockages in their digestive system, which would be more of a hassle and more serious. So I had to do that. So it's really important that I felt I had to get onto that because the last thing I wanted was them to go into GI stasis. So I got on top of all that, and after that, my 200 litre tropical fish tank, which you can see here, the fish seemed to for some reason get ill. Particularly one of them was floating oddly, so I had to go and get medication for the tank, which was time and money, and treat the entire tank, because if one fish gets sick, it's likely that it's going to spread to all the other fish. So I had to treat that tank, and then after a certain amount of time, do a water change on that tank, which is a big deal for such a tank of that size because it's like 60 litres you take out each water change. And then on top of that, the other tanks were due for their water change as well. So I have the 70 litre one and then the snail one to do as well. So that took a little bit of time to do the water changes and fit that in with the time as well. And then on top of that, I had because I often regularly inspect my chooks, my silky chickens that I have outside. I often pick them up and look them over and check they're healthy. And one of my most cuddly and fluffy silky chickens, whom I like to have a daily cuddle with, I realised she had a bit of a wheeze and her beak was, she was sort of breathing a little bit through her beak, which indicated to me that she had some sort of sinus issue going on, some sort of cold type symptoms going on. So I wanted to get onto that as soon as I possibly could, because if you leave it, they can go downhill pretty quickly. And so I had to research what to do for her and how long I should try with the home remedies before I take her to the vet. I'm trying her on apple cider vinegar in her water at the moment at the correct dose, and also a little bit of crushed garlic in her food just to strengthen up her immune system. None of the others seem to have it yet, so whether or not it's just an allergy to some, because we've had a lot of wind lately, to the dust in the air, or whether or not she has some sort of sinus thing going on, I'm not sure at this stage, but I'm keeping a very close eye on her and giving her extra attention, checking that her crop, which is where her food sits, is full, to make sure she's eating enough and drinking enough, making sure that she's not going downhill each day, so that's a lot more time putting into that, just monitoring her and making sure she's doing okay. So all in all, this happened like in the space of a couple of days. And then on top of that, our fridge broke as well, so that was another stress that we had to deal with. So, it's just life. It's just the sort of thing that happens. This is what happens sometimes when you have a lot of pets, and, life happens. So we got through it and we're dealing with it, and it's fine. I thought I'd share this with you because it's important to remember that these sort of things can happen, and you have to make sure before you commit to taking on a pet and having them forever that you are going to be able to look after them time-wise and have enough money to treat them when they do get sick or when they need special food, that sort of thing. So I just thought it was a good prompt to share that, and just as a little reminder to everyone. So thank you for listening to me ramble on, and I will see you in my next video. Love and hugs. Bye.